Hello everybody, my name is Zerduku and welcome back to ShoeOnHead. Today is the average male fantasy, but before I start, I was gonna do like a link down in the description below for my live streams, but today I got a message, people saying, please stop making YouTube videos. And it was on one of these, which was my previous one, which I got like 110 views, which I did not think that would actually happen. That is very weird. Really, I was just doing this just because I have opinions to say about, Shue and what she thinks about certain things. And I realize that I am attracting the toxic, groups that Shue has attracted, and I realized that maybe putting down my live stream link would be a bad idea at this time. Maybe when things start to calm down and go back to order, I'll probably do that. But I am actually really surprised that so many people have been watching my ShoeOnHead videos, because usually that never happens. Usually when I voice my opinion, people usually just ignore me. So that's very interesting. I'll think about that on my own, but first, let's get into this video.
Men. What do they want? Money? Status? Fast, expensive cars? What is the ultimate male fantasy?
That depends on the man. I mean, some men like fast, expensive cars. Others like playing video games. Others like hot women. Some men like anime. Some men like art. It's very diverse, actually.
Is it fame? Fortune? 3 hot chicks at once? Hell yeah, brother. No, of course.
That would be kind of awesome. Oh god, I'm so lonely. Well, anyways, now what's interesting about men, and one of the differences I kind of noticed between men and women, is usually when it comes to fame and fortune, for women it's always both. When it comes, to the boss women, it's always fame and fortune. But here's the thing, for men, sometimes it's one or the other. Some men just want fortune. Some men just want money. While other men like me don't want fortune. What we want is fame. We want a large group of people to be around, and the reason for that is because the more famous you become, the more friends you have. And granted, some of those friends are not real friends, but a lot of men are very good at choosing. Well, not choosing. Well, choosing is the wrong word. But the ones that are selecting, okay, this person is the real friend, and the rest of these guys, they're just here because they like my work. We're pretty good at spotting those.
According to men on the internet, it's something a little more simple.
Anime! Yeah, I can see.
This is literally just a fetish. I fucking hate men so much.
We will send you to Jesus.
Men are why we can't have nice things.
Alright, Shue, so if we're going into anime, one thing it should be noted that I used to be a big anime fan, but I think after Death Note, I kind of stopped watching anime casually. I used to be addicted to anime. I used to watch it all the time, but now I'm kind of very hesitant to watch anime because Death Note did really piss me off, at least at the end of the series.
As I was working on an upcoming video, I made the terrible mistake of logging onto Twitter, where I saw this post. A montage from the anime Josie, the Tiger, and the Fish.
Josie, Tiger, and the Fish. That's one I have not. Yeah, this one I have not seen. This looks like what you call a romance anime, and trust me, anime does a really better job at doing romance versus anything America is doing. And I even seen one particular anime romance that I thought was really good, and it's about this young teenager who's addicted to video games, and he goes to an arcade all the time, and eventually he gets his ass kicked by this one person, but he doesn't know who it is until he peeks over and he realizes, oh, it's a very popular rich girl, and they confront each other, and spoiler alert, they do wind up falling in love. I think it's a really good anime because one of the things you never see in America is two teenagers literally falling in love. Usually in America, it's always adults, which I think is complete bullshit. One thing I do remember growing up is that even at a very young age, there was such thing as crushes, and there were a lot of little girls and little boys who would be consider themselves as boyfriend and girlfriend, and most of the time they'll keep it a secret because there were a lot of toxic kids who thought that were weird, and also even some adults. Although back in my day, oh god, I sound old. It wasn't as bad, but nowadays it is so much worse. But anyways, back to the video.
A movie about a college student who's assigned to take care of a paraplegic girl, and spoiler, eventually they fall in love. Many men were yearn posting in the replies of this tweet and talking about how they wish to fall in love and would love a relationship like this, while many others, mostly women, were absolutely
I wouldn't be surprised if it was also mostly the gay and lesbian communities who were also disgusted by it as well. I wouldn't be surprised because they seem to be against the concepts as well, which is really... I don't know what to make of it. You know what, back to the video.
being disgusted at this. Why would a bunch of men be fantasizing about being with a woman in a wheelchair? Seems pretty creepy and predatory, right?
Actually, believe it or not, that's actually kind of low-key. I mean, usually what people find creepy and predatory is when it's a kid who's fallen in love with an older adult, usually. But most of the time in real life, it's usually a young boy who's fallen in love with a high school teenager. Is usually how it goes in real life in terms of falling in love. I put quotations in that because usually most of the time it's more of a attractiveness, like kind of a sexual attraction, and the reason for that is because sometimes the little boy in question is starting to go through puberty at a very early age, and they see a teenager, and they're like yeah, smash.
Also just unrealistic and problematic. Well, in this video we are going to be talking about...
Also, and one thing I should have mentioned is that whenever that happens, people get really disgusted by it because they think it's kind of gross. And honestly, I think it's kind of sweet when that happens. And I know it never happens, but I would like to see one of those relations actually work out in the end, and even if it's done by fiction, because I think that would be kind of a wholesome thing, to be honest. But having a normal, quote unquote, normal person fall in love with someone who's disabled, whether it's in a wheelchair or somebody with like autism or Asperger's, that would be very wholesome too, because it really would show that there is a future for an expansion on love, which we really need. We need more love and not all this toxic hate towards each other. It's getting too bad. It really needs to change. Oh, sorry, Shue. This is a bad pause,
why
but
so
hey.
many men resonated
It is what it is.
to that clip and this movie, and why so many people are so confused as to why. We are also going to be reading some absolutely unhinged tweets, as usual, to get to the bottom of why such a wholesome post turned into, once again, another battlefront for the ongoing, never-ending gender war. Men versus women, women versus men, the male loneliness epidemic.
It's a nightmare,
the
their
female loneliness
shoe.
epidemic, the dealing with dating apps. Do men prefer thin women or curvy women? Brunettes or blondes?
Okay, for me, I prefer, thin women. Now, honestly, when it comes to color or skin and hair, I honestly don't give a damn. Now, in terms of breast size, I think it's a little weird when they have it when it's too big, but, even flat-chested women is fine.
Women like dad bods or fit men? Do they like beards or clean shaven? Oh yeah, that reminds me.
Nope.
Let's quickly get
We're
into
not.
today's...
We're not doing the sponsor. Let's see if I can find a skip for it. I think I went too far.
The ad. You didn't skip the ad, right?
Bring it,
now,
Shoe.
Let's get back to the video.
I got my Magnum is
Now,
set to
I
go.
am not an anime connoisseur. In fact, I basically know nothing about anime. I am...
Whoa. So you know nothing about anime? Well, as a previous anime fan, someone who used to love anime, I could be your guide. I would definitely start with something like either Naruto, Bleach, or I can't think of any like giant robot ones that are just normal anime. Maybe Gundam, but I never actually watched Gundam, to be honest. I really want to watch Gundam actually and give it a try. But some of the older animes would be too hardcore. Even I would consider Yu Yu Hakusho to be like the second level of anime and wouldn't be a good start, even though it's a really good anime and kind of easy to understand, but it's older and has stronger anime tropes. You really want to start with something that's kind of balanced, but not it's weird but not too weird, because then you can get into it. I think the final boss for that would definitely be High School DxD, because that's when it really gets really powerful at that point. But I love High School DxD. That's my favorite anime.
Probably the most tourist of all the tourists. Yeah, hi. I have a question. Was the upskirt shot necessary in order to advance the plot?
No. Not to advance the plot. That's just an anime trope, and you kind of gonna have to get used to that as watching anime. And honestly, I kind of think it's funny every time they do an upskirt shot, even if it's a little girl upskirt shot, because I think it's not so much as given to the sexual predator things as people say it is. I think it's it's more of a joke towards the clothes that they have women wear, to be honest. Because I think it's actually an attack on like too much feminism in terms of clothes. Now, I'm against gay and lesbian stuff, but when it comes to clothes, it's a different story, because every time when I see a woman inside of a dress or something, even for like a little girl, I'm just thinking to myself, oh my god, that looks so uncomfortable. Wear regular clothes. Regular men's clothes are fine. Actually, technically, the clothes I wear is not normal men's clothes. I usually wear sweatpants all the time because I don't like wearing jeans. Jeans are very uncomfortable.
I watched Pokemon and Sailor Moon when I was a kid.
I wouldn't count Pokemon as an actual quote-unquote anime, although it was made in Japan as an anime. But Pokemon was dubbed down so much, I think even in Japan for the most part, to the point where it's more of a cartoon versus an actual anime. Now, Sailor Moon, I never watched Sailor Moon, so I don't know.
And a few years ago, I watched Beastars on Netflix.
Now, that's a hardcore one. I consider Beastar as sort of like, it's taking Zootopia and making it more adult and more anime-ish. I know that's a weird word to say. And I think it is one of the best animes ever made. the third and final season wasn't all that fantastic, but at least it wasn't terrible.
Legoshi, best boy, not a furry, by the way. And honestly,
I guess I would only consider you a furry if you were like in love with that fictional character, but whatever.
that's about it for my anime consumption. Unless you're counting VTubers. If you're counting VTubers,
Yeah, I don't count VTubers as anime at all because VTubers are just people reacting to stuff, that's more of a YouTube thing versus anime, but whatever.
I watch a lot of anime. But because of this clip going viral, I watched Josie the Tiger and the Fish, and, well, I thought it was a good movie. I recommend watching it. I thought it was a really cute, good...
I don't think I have access to that because even if it's on Netflix, it might be on Netflix not from another country, so I don't think I have it, and I don't have like access to like switching my place or whatever it is through VPN or whatever the hell it's called. Yeah, well, I would actually give it a try, and I would like to give it a try, but I just don't think I can.
Good story. I only cried a little bit, and I completely understood what the tweet meant by calling it the average male fantasy. So, what was wrong with it?
Well, before we even get started with the tweets that you're probably going to show very soon, I think it's more of a lot of people not understanding anime is probably what it is.
Why did this clip go so...
By the way, I have watched this video just it's been a while.
Viral in such a negative way? Why were thousands of people angry at this post? Well, let us dilly-dally no longer and read some of these angry replies to get a better understanding of what the issue is, shall we? Wholesome male fantasy, and it's fetishizing a disabled girl for him to control.
Oh, yeah. So this is what their issue is. The only thing I have to say to that is that we really need to fix our world. It's bad. Our culture is really, really bad. We need to change. We need to tear down our culture and rebuild it from the bottom up. Because this is toxic. It is pure, prideful evil, and it's killing us. Like poison.
Oh no. They think, oh God, why?
Well, why? Because our society sucks. We need to rebuild. This is why Donald Trump was brought in, because they want to change. But the issue is that he wasn't for like the change that we wanted. But he was like our better option versus, the worst.
Always vulnerable, always happy, always needs you. Pretty perverted. Where are these fan fictions coming from? There were like hundreds of tweets, just like
fan fictions? Yeah, you don't want to ask the question where fan fictions come from.
this. Why did they see a cute montage of a happy couple, a man and a woman happy, together? I know, unheard of. Why did they see that and then immediately come to these conclusions? Like, as someone who actually watched the movie, Josie is not always happy, and she's absolutely not portrayed as some, like, vulnerable, ooh-woo, sex doll waifu.
Actually, no anime character, as far as I know, is like that. At least I don't think so. Even, in Love to Ryu, Lala does seem... Well, it's more like she's a snowflake or a Daisy type of person where she's not really there. She's kind of innocent and just... Well, it's not like she's an empty vessel. She's just not very... She's smart, but also not smart at the same time. She's a very complex character, and I actually do love to Ryu just because of like the complex characters and the wild silliness that just makes you laugh all the time. And I like the fact that it's one of those comedy animes that never takes itself seriously.
She's boisterous, she kind of has a foul mouth, she's very sassy and headstrong. She like straight up calls him her servant, but she was also
I like, by the sounds of it, I like the description of like her, this female character in the wheelchair. I forget her name, but even though I think she already said it, goddamn, my brain sucks. Uh, but I like how the way it's almost like portrayed as, you know, the typical girl that thinks herself, above, men and stuff, and the fact that she's, depressed in a wheelchair and can't do anything, it really shows the truth of like, the fact that it doesn't matter if you're a man or a woman, we're all vulnerable and we need each other. This is why men and women exist. This is why that's the only way that we make children. Nature made it very clear that this is a thing that needs to be. And I think the reason why it's a thing that needs to be is because that human beings are just not strong on our own, and we need each other to support each other. And when you take that away, it doesn't end very well. It never does.
also very depressed. She basically never left her house. She was basically a girl failure. As a former girl failure, I love to see representation in.
Oh my god, I'm so retarded. What's a girl failure? Is it just like a girl that didn't do very well in society? Is that all that really is? I think we need more of that.
Media. But they actually show her disability, like, not in a good way. Like, they don't romanticize it, they don't sugarcoat it. And I noticed, unlike a lot of movies, unlike a lot of romance movies, at least like the Hallmark kind, where it's like the stuffy male lead learning to live life from the quirky, cute female lead, he's already got his shit together. And she learns to live life from him. He encourages her to live her dreams. And in return, he learns to live life in a completely different way.
This is what I said earlier about anime, in terms of romance animes. I like the fact that they always take common tropes and turns them on their head. It's called good storytelling, and people do not understand this. I think what it is that there's too much concept of wanting to express what they think is the real message. But here's the thing about human beings, is that we all have different opinions, especially as writers. And we do like to express our feelings towards a certain subject, and we turn those into messages. But we're not doing it to force people in our way of thinking. No, we're doing it as voicing our opinions, and that's what really matters. And when we sit down and talk about things, that actually causes potential change. And some change is good and some change is bad. But I think that's why we have to constantly keep changing things, because we need to find the thing that makes us feel, well, makes it so society is comfortable, but also is able to keep moving forward at the same time. And what's going on is that nowadays with the gays and lesbian communities is that they have basically made a wall where human beings cannot move forward. Instead, we're stuck in this thing where some people feel comfortable and others don't. And I think that comes down with the idea of versatility, where some people are okay with gay and lesbian stuff, and some people are not. And I think the whole wall thing is just to make those people die of old age and disappear because they think they're all the older generation, but not all of the old generation does not like all this GPT community stuff is what they don't understand. But I digress. I'm getting off topic, so how about we just get back to the video?
And I thought that was really cool and sweet. Also, the animation was really good. Is anime good? Have I been sleeping on anime this entire...
Honestly, to tell you the truth, there's a lot of things I realize that I've been sleeping on, and my issue is that I have a hard time trying new things. So don't feel bad there, Shu. And to answer your question on like sleeping on anime, I guess that depends on what it is you like. The thing is, but then again, anime is very diverse. There's science fiction, there's fantasy, there's romance. Anime is not it's not a single genre, and that's one of the things I hate about a lot of people, labeling anime as a genre when it's not. Anime is an art form of telling a story. Like the difference between a movie and a stage play, or the difference between a movie and a book. There are two different ways of telling a story. Yes, they're different types of art forms, but they're not genres. A genre is like the difference between horror and comedy. Those are genres. So technically, yes, you could be sleeping on anime only because there's a mass diversity of types of genre animes. But back to this.
His fantasy is that she becomes permanently disabled and helplessly dependent on him, but can still make him a sandwich. Sounds about right.
Oh, I'm gonna go back on that. I'm sorry, guys. My brain just
Also,
went...
the animation was really good. Is anime good? Have I been sleeping
I went
anime
too far
this
back. My
entire
bad.
time?
I'm sorry,
His fantasy
guys.
is that she becomes permanently disabled and...
His fantasy is that he's permanently disabled. Can still make him sing. Oh, God. Why? Why are people like this? Why does our culture suck so bad? Man, we need to...
helplessly dependent on him, but can still make him a sandwich. Sounds about right. Oh my god, after watching the movie, these tweets are even more insane. But even putting the movie aside, just seeing that like cute montage out of context, where the fuck are they getting this? These are very clearly just two happy people. But because the caption was the average male fantasy, their mind immediately goes to the darkest, worst faith interpretation of this. The problem is these people can't see any humanity in men. They can't see any humanity in humanity in general. Average male fantasy equals girlfriend with no agency who's completely physically dependent on you and forced into blanket subservience and compliance. Sounds about right. You males are weird for fetishizing physically disabled.
Okay, I was gonna say something, but my brain just went blank because of all the toxic nonsense that's going on. And, no, it's not weird for romancing, like, disabled people because, being disabled myself, being autistic myself, it really is a terrible burden to have. It really is. Like, not being able to find love easily because oftentimes being autistic, people see you as a child even though that you're an adult, and it can be tough. It really can.
Women. Average male fantasy is having a physically disabled girl that they can abuse however they want.
Men are not abusers. That's a very, very, very small minority, by the way. And honestly, to tell you the truth, I think in terms of abusers, women are increasingly becoming worse. And matter of fact, women are becoming even more abusive, which is weird because speaking of anime, there's the character from Naruto, Sakura, which I hate her character, and not for the reason that everybody else has. People hated her character, saying, "Oh, she sucks." Well, and yeah, in the beginning of the series, she is kind of terrible at fighting, but she does get better over time. But the one thing that never changed is her character towards men. She's very, very abusive towards Naruto. When all Naruto wants to do is, give her his love and attention, and she basically spits in his face every single time. And that's what I don't like about her character. And the funny thing is, I'm thinking to myself, women are not all women are like this. And now there's an increasing number of evil Sakuras. And it's just getting bad. It needs to stop.
Got it. Not to be that guy, I'm gonna be that guy. The infantilization of the physically disabled here is a little, dare I say, ableist?
Normally I would agree with you, Sue, but in my experience with love as an autistic person, it's not necessarily ableist, because it is kind of true with the fact that when you're disabled, your chances of finding love are very, very low. So I don't know if it's ableist or not, will be considered ableist or not, but maybe it is just on the way that people treat people with disabilities. But back to the video.
The implication here that people in wheelchairs cannot find love, and if they do, the person who loves them literally just loves them because they can't run away. Weird.
But however, I want to make it very clear. It's not because that we're being abused. It's because it's more of what people think of us, and I wouldn't necessarily call that abusive. It's just the way culture is. And yet again, I have to digress this. Our culture really sucks, and we need to change it, and we need to change it soon. Otherwise, I think bad things are going to wind up happening to us that it's not really in our control.
Weird. Average men can't even be nice to their healthy and normal girlfriend. What makes you think they'll be able to handle a disabled person as their lover? Whoa. Normal? What do you mean by normal? These people are just...
Yeah, there's not really much things as normal because there's too much diversity. You really can't... When it comes to the human mind, that's where the real... what is it, that game lesbian people call it with the multicolored flag? The spectrum. See, that's where the real spectrum is. Because emotions and personalities do have a spectrum, but sexuality does not have a spectrum. So I think that's what I think a lot of people get confused about when it comes to trying to understand the science of human beings, because a lot of that does get kind of jumbled up. Because I think with people's emotional, not emotions, it's not emotional state, I think it's more like it's our personalities. Sometimes our personalities clash with our sexualities a lot, and as a result, those things get jumbled up, and I think that's why people get confused.
So ableist, chat. Can you believe it? Chat? Chat? I don't even live stream. Who's...
Okay, that one was pretty funny. Good job. Even though I think that was incidental, but it was pretty funny.
Chat! I'm disabled, blind, so I showed this to my boyfriend. He says, I love you because you're you, and you make my days happier. So what if I have to drive you places or help you with cooking and cleaning? I would have done that anyway. Disability has nothing to do with it.
A lot of people say that it's kind of weird that how can someone be blind and see this? Maybe there's like a program that's reading. Yeah, that's what it must be. It must be a program that's because I have a program that reads to me, and it's not because I'm blind, obviously, because I can see it because I have glasses. It's because I can't read very good. My part of my autism is being able to learn things, and one of the things I haven't learned that great is reading. I'm terrible at reading. I mean, I can read. It's just not very good.
That I love you. Ma'am, I don't know how to tell you this, but Your boyfriend is a rapist. Sorry you had to find out this way. You show this as fantasy because it's not true for the majority of men who participate in abuse of disabled people.
Okay. Why do people think that men abuse people? We don't. How many times do I have to say it?
No, the fantasy is the woman appreciates his efforts to make her happy. Stop lying and abusing women and the disabled.
Your meds, schizo.
Exactly. What the Okay, everybody who has a toxic situation towards this should be a meme. This should be a meme. Right here. Here's your med, schizo. Anybody who has a toxic problem, there's your fucking meds!
You don't even know that fucking guy. What do you mean stop abusing women and the disabled? Bitch, who are you?
Exactly.
Also, the majority of men participate in abuse of disabled people. Are you okay? The majority of men are not abusers. That is a very, very small minority of men.
Already said
the
that.
The majority of men are men that just wake up, take a shit, get out of bed, take a shower, go to work, come home, and wait for GTA 6 to come out. That is the...
Yeah, I guess that's kind of right. I do want to hear that again just to make sure that she got that right.
You okay? The majority of men are not abusers. That is a very, very small minority of men. The majority of men are men that just wake up, take a shit, get out of bed, take a shower, go to work, come home, and wait for GTA 6 to come out.
Yeah, that's mostly right. I think a lot of us men find ourselves, well, I think the reason why she said things like take a shit and like, take a shower and all that and stuff, because that's all like normal stuff. There are differences between like, the couch potato men and the men who like to go out and work out. And I think the majority of men are the type of men who like to go out and work out all the time, because those are the, your typical man kind of deal for the most part. But there are the kind of men who like to sit, like me, who like to sit down and binge watch on YouTube videos and TV shows and play video games. Those are what you call the nerdy man. And even though I think there's an increasing amount of those people as time goes on, and I think that's due to social media, I think, but there's still that large, group of men who like to go out and work out. So I'm glad those guys are around, because without those, I think our society will start to fall apart, because we need those kind of people.
That is the majority of men. Men commit 95% of all rape, but okay.
Excuse me? No. 95% is not correct. That is incorrect information. Like, even men that have a weird fetish with, like, younger women, the one thing they never do is they never approach first. They usually let the women, make the first move usually. But the problem with our culture is that our culture teaches women to let men make the first move. But the problem is with men, we have so much respect for people's space that we don't do it. Because we know if we did approach women that way, it would be considered rude. And you know what? You're kind of right about that. We should not approach women. Men should not approach women. But however, someone has to approach someone, and I think women should be the one who approaches men, to be honest, because it's very clear that women need to sympathize with, women need to find sympathy. That's the problem. I think the issue with all this pride bullshit is that women are losing the concept of empathy towards people. And they say, oh, we're just losing empathy towards men because you're all, rapists or whatever. But no, that's not true. You lose empathy for everybody, plain and simple, and it's because of pride. Pride costs your empathy, and the longer you have it, the more you need to spend your empathy for it. And this is something that happens on the men's side too. So we need to learn to throw away our pride and learn humility and understanding of others. Back to the video.
Barging into the romance section of Barnes & Noble like, "Attention everyone!
I get her joke here is saying that rape has no belonging of like romance stuff, but whether you like it or not, the concept of rape is kind of part of the romance thing to a certain extent, because when you think of romance, for some reason our brains are trained to think of sex, and rape is kind of part of that because rape is forced sex. I don't know, man. Honestly, I don't know what I'm talking about. I should shut up and just watch the video.
Where is that coming from?" So close, this is fetish content. Ah yes, the dirtiest, most taboo of all fetishes. A happy relationship. Honestly, in 2025, that might be true. Oh,
yeah, that's the problem. The normal relationships that allow our society to move forward is dying off. And that's the whole wall thing I'm talking about. Because the more people change their genders and the more gay and lesbian people become, the more people are making themselves incapable of making children. And when that happens, you basically are taking away the ability for human beings to gain children. And that's not the worst part of that whole thing. The worst part of that whole thing is that for centuries, men and women have a hard time understanding each other because the way our brains work are very different, and as a result, we feel more comfortable with our own genders. So when you allow the ability of saying, "Oh, it's okay to be married to another man," or "It's okay to be married to another woman," you are essentially setting up disaster where everybody in the world is going to be like that because there is the constant like, I don't want to be with the opposite sex because the opposite sex is different, thinks different than me, and I'd rather be around my own crowd so we can understand each other, on a level of understanding. I know that doesn't make any fucking sense, but I'm doing my best to try to explain it. And when you have that issue where you make it so it's easier to marry the thing that is exactly like you, but no ability to make children, you're slicing that ability away, and eventually the whole world is going to be like I'm guaranteed in like probably the next anywhere between 300 to 500 years in the far future, we're going to have an entire planet of gays and lesbians unless something isn't done now to take care of that problem. Matter of fact, I guarantee more than half the population is going to be trans. Like, they're going to change their genders, which immediately makes it so they can't have children. So I'm probably, if I had to take a shitty guess, maybe 700, maybe even 1,000 years from now, is when you start to see less and less children as time goes on. And eventually our whole population issue will no longer be a problem, because instead what we're going to have, instead of overpopulation, we're going to have such a decrease in population that eventually human beings are just going to fade away into nothingness and we're all dead. Extinction.
You want a wife and kids? You sick fuck. But this is literally just a perverted fantasy element.
It is a fantasy. I'll agree with that. It is a fantasy. Is it a perverted fantasy? I don't think it's a perverted fantasy. I would say it is a fantasy only because that the chances of anybody falling in love with a disabled person is very low, like I said. So, yeah, that's the fantasization part. Is mostly the disabled part, mostly.
You think it's a perverted fantasy because, how do I put this nicely? You are a pervert.
That might be true too.
Literally seeing a cute montage of a male and female character having fun together, being in love together, and being like, rape! He's a rapist! This is a fetish! Are these people okay?
No.
Stop watching porn. Wait, this is a woman. Okay, stop reading Taken by the Werewolf Billionaire.
What the flying fucker nuts? Really? Do women really read this? I think we just discovered what's wrong with our culture. All the hot women just want, like, an average-looking man to be rich. You know, yeah, sorry, women. The chances of you getting that is very, very rare, because there's a reason why it's called the 1%. Is because the chances of anybody being rich, whether you're a man or a woman, is very, very low. It's like rolling the dice on, like, a disadvantage roll.
Or whatever the fuck you read. I swear to God, some of the shit women read would make the most depraved internet gooner blush. Or so I've been told.
And what's wrong with gooners?
This is literally just a fetish.
Yeah.
Okay, listen, I'm not gonna pretend there's nobody out there who's
I already said
like,
my piece on that.
She can't run away, she has no legs. I'm not gonna sit here and pretend.
Yeah, there might be some people out there, and trust me, I've seen so much on the internet. Oh my god. But you know what? If people have a fantasy or some sort of fantasy fetish, as long as they're not using it as a means to hurt other people, then they can do whatever the hell they want with their lives, as long as they're not, projecting it onto other people.
There's nobody out there who has a crippled, disabled fetish, okay? I've been on the internet for 20 years. I've been on DeviantArt. I've seen shit you wouldn't believe. But the majority of people, probably most, if not all the people responding to this, do not have a cripple fetish, okay? In fact, her being in a wheelchair basically has nothing to do with it. Much like how females coom over, like, vampires or, like I said before, the billionaire werewolf fantasy. This is just the average male fantasy distilled down to its most extreme. So what is the average male fantasy? The average male fantasy is the fantasy of both men and women alike. It is simply to love and to be loved. But more specifically, the male fantasy is to be a protector and a provider for those that they love. Put a pin in this because we are going to come back to this in a big way, trust me. The average male fantasy is being a globally known terrorist. The average male fantasy is that a woman who isn't fat. The average male fantasy is actually job security.
Well, let's go back on some of these.
For those that they love. Put a pin in this because we are going to come back to this in a big way, trust me. The average male fantasy is...
No. We don't... Most men I know don't like the idea of being a terrorist. Although some men might like being some men like being soldiers. Matter of fact, the men who like to go out and work out, most of those people are soldiers for, like, whatever country they're from, because it's because the idea of being a soldier is the idea of exercise and stuff. So yeah, I could see that, but being a terrorist, no. I feel like the only people who are terrorists are the ones who have, like, some sort of strong belief system towards, like, like, towards religion or something like that. I think those are the real terrorists, to be honest. And yes, I do consider gays and lesbians as terrorists, only for a couple of reasons. Reason number one, because they keep constantly infiltrating, like, things like being therapists or being, like scientists who think that they're experts on sexuality and stuff like that, and they're constantly trying to brainwash. That's actual literal terrorism right there. That's why I consider that as a terrorist. And the second reason is they're constantly trying to shove their beliefs down our throats. That's all signs of terrorism. So that's why I think gays and lesbians are considered terrorists in a way. But yeah, I digress.
Being a globally known terrorist. The average male fan.
Average marriage is a woman is fat. I think that depends on the man, because there are some men, but the problem is it's kind of a small minority where there's some men who really like fat women. They have, it's that thing again with what she was talking about earlier about fetishes. Some men who have a fetish with fat women, and it is a very small minority, though. And however, obesity seems to be a global phenomenon for the most part, although Asia and some parts of England, I think, where there isn't a lot of obese people. Most obese people seem to be in America because of it's to do with the food that we're consuming is the issue. And even I'm a little bit fat myself, and it's because I live in America, and yeah, the food isn't really healthy, but it's what we got, and we just have to deal with it. And honestly, fat food is actually pretty tasty, so it's kind of hard to give up something that tastes good. You can call it an addiction, but honestly, fat food is good. It tastes good, okay? What else can I say?
Fantasy is that a woman who isn't fat. The average male fantasy is actually job security.
Job security? I don't know about that one, so I'm just gonna skip it.
You know what? These guys may have a point here. Pedophile alert. Men want disabled child wives. Average male fantasy is a disabled child. More proof that men are pedos. That's a little girl.
Okay. I know that Shue is going to talk about this, but this is another big issue with women and the average consumer of entertainment, especially anime entertainment, is that when they see a person drawn in an anime style, for some reason, people see anime characters as children. And to be fair, anime can be a little weird with its character designs and age. But that's not complete. I'd say that's 50-50 at best. And the reason why I say that is because when men and women who don't know anime see anime and they see an adult character, they think that adult character is actually a child, but in the story that they're old adult, they're adults. So yeah, and it's to do with art style, and many animators have a very specific art style in Japan that they have when drawing people, and I think the reason why they have that particular art style because it's become kind of like the guidebook on how to draw a human being. And I think the reason why is because drawing human beings is very difficult. I know this because I use Paint Program to draw human characters for my books all the time, and trust me, it's a pain in the ass to do. And that's why you have to have like a guidebook to draw a character, and it's not accurate at all. Not even close to be accurate human beings. So you just gotta hope what you write in the story, registers in the brain of the consumer. And it doesn't work that way. And for some reason it doesn't work. And I don't know why, to be honest. It just doesn't always work. But yeah, I digress.
This is weird. So, first of all, she's literally older than the guy. The guy is 22 and she is 24. In anime years, he is practically hag maxing. And yes, she may be physically disabled, but aren't all men mentally disabled in their own special way? At least the ones in my audience. They will freely admit this. Maybe she, the older woman, is taking advantage of this sensitive young man. Have you ever thought of that? She looks like an 11-year-old child.
I do want to check to see if I am actually recording all this, because something tells me I've been doing this for a while. Yeah, 15 minutes. But I'm gonna let's just
For
get
her
back.
breasts. First of all, really weird way to say that. She looks like a child. Show me her titties. Also, I love how, like, when anime women have huge boobs, it's disgusting, Coomer brain or whatever. But if the anime woman has small boobs, she is a child and you're a chimo. Can't fucking win. Also, if she had big boobs...
You know, when I was... there was an anime I watched, and I didn't like it because the women just look so weird. It's the... Remember earlier when I said I don't like women that have super long, big breasts, because when they do, it just goes down to their stomach and just looks really weird? That was the anime I was looking at. I'm just like, ugh, those women just look weird. But however, weirdly enough, the flat-chested women look gorgeous as hell in anime for some reason. Matter of fact, there's a character named Konako in, like, High School DxD, and I'm just like, smash. And I know that Konako is supposed to be like a teenage. Well, actually, no. Technically, she's not, because she's a devil, and an old devil. Actually, she just looks like a child, and that's because that in that universe, demons don't age the same way as humans. Whatever. Back to the video.
boobs, they'd absolutely be like, wow, look at this sexualization of the disabled. Also, you know, like, adult women can be flat-chested, right?
Yeah.
Like, that actually exists.
Yeah, that's the thing. Flat-chested women, even older women, can be flat-chested. Matter of fact, I remember when I was on Facebook, I saw, like, a comedian that she was kind of flat-chested. I would say that she has to be like an A cup at most. And she had a very young-looking face, and she was joking how everybody keeps treating her as a little girl because she looks like a little girl. And I'm just thinking to myself, oh, man, society is just so stupid, you know. I don't know what it is that makes women look like children when they get to a certain age, but I think what it is that if I was to take a city guess, it has something to do with the fact that we all age differently. And, you know, I actually remember at one point there was these teenagers that I met, and I didn't realize they were teenagers because they looked like full-grown women, and it has to do with, you know, the way we age. And it did actually kind of trick me for a bit, and then when I realized, oh shit, well, okay. But, you know, it is what it is. You really can't... I think the lesson here is that we really shouldn't label people just based on the looks. It's like they can't judge a book by its cover.
In real life, like, adult human women can have small boobs. We love all titties here on the ShoeOnHead channel. All titties is good titties. End of story. Women fantasy. A boyfriend with depth and the loving, soft, deeply caring side of them. Men's fantasy. 12-year-old anime girl who looks and speaks like a toddler. Also notice how she's literally the shape and size of a child. Yuck. Have you people ever seen a child? No. You're all childless. Silly me. She's not even that short. She's just sitting. See, like, when they're laying side by side, she's like a full-grown adult woman. Why do these people look at this and immediately think of child rape? Go to therapy. And listen, I know with anime it can get a little weird, right? Like, excuse me, Poo Poo Pee Pee Chan is 2,000 years old, and this is Poo Poo Pee Pee Chan.
This is a very bad example, but I guess it's because that Shu hasn't watched very much anime. Honestly, I think Konako would be the best example, but, you know, whatever.
But this does not even look like a child. This looks like a cute woman.
Yeah, whoa, go back.
Go to therapy. And listen, I know with anime it can get a little
come
weird,
on.
right?
Why does that always happen
Excuse
in
me,
my
Poo Poo Pee Pee
YouTube
Chan
thing?
is 2,000 years old, and this is Poo Poo Pee Pee Chan. But this does not...
Yeah, this right here... I know I was, like, talking about people drawing humans, but that's a really good drawing of a woman right there. That's well done. That is definitely a woman, plain and simple. Now that I think about it, some of the teenagers' drawings of anime looks exactly like this, yeah, it's the whole like being confused on the age thing, but whatever.
Even look like a child. This looks like a cute woman. This is like a
I don't know
random
what
rap,
it is with me today, but
like
I
there are
keep
no more
dozing
cute
off,
women
and my brain is
nowadays.
moving
You know
very
what
slow.
I mean? You
So,
have all like
excuse
the
me.
Insta baddies, the e-thoughts, the e-girls, the muscle mommies, the boss babes, the boy babes. But I feel like every woman is just hot now. Which, by the way, I don't think is healthy for the male psyche whatsoever.
Actually, I have an interesting little theory on why all women look hot. And it's because that 90% of them are virgins. And it's all to do with the propaganda of if you have sex at an early age, your bodies will supposedly change. It does to a small extent, but it's not a bad change at all. It's actually not a terrible change. And because that they don't have sex, I think it's the hormones inside of them start, making them look hotter and more attractive in nature's attempt to make them so they can pass on their seeds. That's a theory, but more of a nature theory and hormones and all. Yeah, just
You
I don't know
shouldn't
what's
wake
here.
up and be able to scroll through pictures of like the hottest woman you've ever seen in your life like 20 times before you've had like your morning cup of coffee. You shouldn't log in and immediately be one-shotted by 1010s all day, as if that wouldn't make you go insane, as if that wouldn't make you crash out. Like back
I don't think. Yeah, I don't think that is true. To be honest, I don't think it would make us. I don't think it makes us a crash out because I don't know. I growing up, I didn't actually see that many hot women until time has gone until I gotten older. When I started living in my own place and all that, but I don't. It's never been an issue where I crash out or anything, so I don't think that's true.
in the day, you'd probably see like one fine dame on your bus ride to work, and you'd think about her for 40 years until the day you die. That's how it used to be. That's how it should be.
Yeah, you're kind of wrong about that, Shoe. It's not so much that you see a hot woman and you think about her for until the day you die. It's more of like the ones that you keep in your heads as a man is the ones that are not only beautiful looking, but they're also very nice and kind to you. Those are the ones you take to your grave as memories. Yeah.
Now every woman is like a crazy, hot, unobtainable Instagram goddess with the fattest of ass. Zoomers don't know how good we had
but
it.
they're all
You'd go to
bitches.
Blockbuster and the 21-year-old
Evil
cashier behind the
bitches.
counter would be the most adorable woman you've ever seen. No Botox, no lip filler, just a pure soul, full of joy and whimsy. And now women are full of hate and SSRIs.
Yep.
But they're hot. They're hotter than they've ever
Evil
been.
hot
they're
bitches.
hotter and more depressed than they've ever been in history.
Literally, the manifestation of lust is basically coming to society. Yeah, I don't believe in God, but it does seem like that. It is kind of weird. It's like the physical manifestation of lust.
History. Sad. What were we talking about? Oh yeah, anime. I didn't take my Vyvanse today, could you tell? Men's fantasy. A big titty woman with the face of a 16-year-old that is useful for cooking, cleaning, and sex. Women's fantasy. Gets treated like a queen and a man who keeps tracks of our periods so he can take care of us.
What?
I think I speak for a lot of women here when I say our fantasies do not, in fact, include men tracking our periods.
Agreed.
Personally, if my husband was
Why on earth would we track a woman's period? Why? Even on a what's it called, a fetish level, even I think that would be weird and gross.
like, honey, just a reminder, you're in your luteal phase. I'm taking the kids. Men like to pretend they want this, and then they beat their wife when dinner isn't ready or their son when he's misbehaving.
What are you living in the 1950s?
behaving. First of all, I'm sorry that happened to you. But there are in fact good men out there. I've seen them. Some may be in this very audience. Sorry, I couldn't keep a straight face. This is the ShoeOnHead audience. You're all gremlins.
Yeah, if I'm since I'm married, yeah, I guess I am surrounded by gremlins since I'm part of the ShoeOnHead audience, but I'm more like a zombie at this point.
Male fantasy equals a woman that can't run away from him, a woman that's dependent on him. Interesting. When men are involved, it's basic survival instinct to assume the worst. Men are guilty.
Basic survival to assume the worst and assume the worst in men? Is that what you're saying? No. That doesn't make any fucking sense.
Until they prove themselves innocent. You know what? I take my opinions back on free speech. I changed my mind. No more free speech. No more free speech until you bitches learn to behave. A woman's fantasy is a man who won't rape her, and a man's fantasy is raping a woman. I'm sorry, where is the rape, ma'am?
Yeah, I know earlier I was talking about, how people can associate rape and, romance at the same time, but from what I understand from the anime, there's like no mention of that, so I don't know. Like I said, I haven't watched the anime, so I wouldn't know, but you know what? I just let the video
Maybe
play.
That's how you see it, because you're brainwashed to hate men. So true. I hate how... But in reality, women are the real demons here.
I really want to disagree with that so badly. I really want to disagree with that. But women are proving themselves to be very, very, very toxic. So I have to agree with this person, but I also am well aware that there are some good women out there, but finding them is like trying to find a needle in a haystack. So I don't...
Oh, god damn it. We just want a happy relationship. Is it so much to ask?
Yes! Yes! There we go! A sane person. Thank fucking Jeebus!
Ask for? Yes. Yes, it is. Oh look, more misogynistic gooner fantasy slop written by misogynistic gooner men. This is why 70% of anime is garbage. So, here's the thing. That, misogynistic gooner fantasy slop written by misogynistic
Let me guess,
gooner
by a
men
woman.
was actually written by Saiko Tanabe. A woman. A woman wrote this story. And I feel like a very important detail everyone is sleeping on when they covered this was the fact that this is very much the female fantasy as well.
Maybe back in the olden days, this is the average woman fantasy back in the older days. But actually, as time goes on, it got reversed onto its head in a very bad way. Because now men are now the hopeless romantics. And this is why they want this. Because this is becoming... Well, other than the disabled part is a fantasy, but just a normal relationship is becoming a fantasy. And if this keeps up, we're going to face extinction.
A man loving you for who you are despite your flaws, literally sweeping you off your feet and carrying you around on adventures, helping you live out your dreams, face your fears, and supporting you through the good and bad times. You're going to sit here and tell me that's not the female fantasy too? Is this not the basic female fantasy? Is this not the knight in shining armor coming to rescue you and falling in love with you? Why on earth are so many women so mad at this? Are men now the hopeless romantic?
Yes.
Are men now the ones yearning for a fairy tale romance?
Yes.
Is this why all the Disney remakes are like, she's not gonna be saved by the prince, she's a strong, independent woman?
Yes.
Meanwhile, men still want to be the prince, men still want to be the knight in shining armor. Men are like, I will save you from your monotonous 9-to-5 job. I will give you a house and babies. And women are like, no, I must be an actuarial consultant. Be gone, vile misogynist.
Yes!
Is that what is occurring here? Also, that aside, there literally is a gender-swapped version of this story called Perfect World.
Huh.
It is a manga. Mango?
Manga. Which I believe is just Japanese for a comic book, so you can call it just a comic book.
Oh, no. Do not come for me, weebs.
Yeah, please don't. I mean, she barely knows anime as it is.
Men will statistically leave their wives and partners the moment they find out they're disabled or have a life-threatening condition. You're right, it is a fantasy. Actually, that study was debunked by the authors themselves,
Really?
who admitted they did the math wrong. It's actually not much higher, but then again, even if it was, and it happens, I've seen it happen to people, it's terrible. Marriage should be through sickness and through health. But that's not really the point here. And the fact that so many people are focusing on the wheelchair part of this just proves that they just don't get it. The ones
But hang on, Shu. Isn't the whole point of the anime is the wheelchair? Because the wheelchair is basically the representation of, like, being disabled. Is that what that's supposed to represent, or am I wrong about that?
the pure mind and pure soul get it. But these fucking semen demons out here, they don't get it. But not all semen demons. The amount of people in comments who just don't get that men want a cute, loving girlfriend is beyond me. They call them creeps for wanting actual love and not a girl boss who only wants your money.
Oh my god, that person is so sane. Oh my god, that's my fucking problem with dating apps. Every woman wants to just want your money. They don't want you, they want your money. They want to steal your money and that's it. Oh my god.
Ah, thank you. A sane person. Hopefully the replies aren't full of people calling her a pick-me.
They're gonna
Pick-me
call it,
alert.
yep.
Least obvious pick-me. Me, pick me please. Hope he picks you, sis. Pick me, pick me, pick me.
Okay, I have to ask, why is pick me considered a bad thing? Why would you not want to be picked?
An incel could have written this.
Well, maybe the person is an incel, because I noticed that a lot of incels notice these things, like, and us incels are sick and tired of toxic women, and we just want a normal relationship. But we can't have that because there's too many evil fucking bitches out there.
Fuck. Why are so many VTubers either pick-me's or racist?
Because they like to give you the fuck you.
You mean why do so many female VTubers disagree with you? Why so many aren't towing the mainstream liberal feminist NPC line? Because they can. See, the most powerful weapon women have against other women is social ostracization.
I don't even know what that word even means.
You want to be seen as a pick-me or a racist, so you keep your mouth shut in order to survive in female social circles. But in the cases of VTubers, virtual YouTubers, they're basically anonymous. They can say anything they want.
I get you. So it's basically women can't speak their mind around other women. So they go to a private place and put on a mask on a platform where they can be anonymous and speak their opinions. Gotcha.
They're basically wearing a mask. They're free from the chains of the eternal HR Longhouse. But apparently, even being anonymous online does not save them, because they still get doxxed for simply not hating.
I don't even know what doxed even means. But I'm guessing that this isn't... I'm going to try to read this, but my reading is pretty terrible, so bear with me. Well... Oh, I think that's supposed to be whelp. Cat's out of the bag. A lot have seen it by now. I've been doxxed. I don't know what this word is. Authologists? Have already been informed. I don't know what this is. And you know why I have been doxxed. Because I dare say I support men. You know what? You know what I'm going to say right now? Anybody who supports men and they get, doxxed, whatever the fuck that means. I don't even know what doxxed even means or what it is. I'm guessing that's, like, people being, judged or something, perhaps, some sort of negative thing. But if you're being yelled at by toxic groups by supporting men, and you know what you're doing is the right thing in terms of being wholesome towards us men who are all incels, keep doing it. Keep pushing forward. Push towards the light. Push towards justice. Don't stop going. Push towards it and keep saying good things about us men. Then maybe things can change. But the only way things can change is if all of us incel men work together. Not just us incel men, but the women who support incel men. Men and women need to work together against this toxic, gay, lesbian, pride fucking shit that's pushing us towards extinction. If we push towards it together, then guess what? We can defeat this prideful evil forever. Well, maybe not forever, but maybe we can defeat it and bring the world back to order. So don't stop, VTubers. Don't stop.
Hating men. Lovely. Maybe I should save this rant for a different video someday. Moving on. Men are why we can't have nice things, by the way.
First of all, men make all the things.
Yes, they do. Like I said, all the exercise men that want to be soldiers and stuff, they make everything. Matter of fact, even the nerdy men who are incels are really good with computers and stuff, and being good with that kind of stuff allows them to make things in our society move smoother, and we need them.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Also, I just realized it was a man saying that. It was a whole-ass man saying men are why we can't have nice things.
What? Are you fucking serious? Where's that frickin' man? I will send him to his fucking tombstone. Back to the video.
I don't deserve this trophy. This is for you, sir. This is for you. I'm not worthy. Listen, I make women jokes. I'm very critical of feminism and propaganda aimed at women. But you will never catch me in a million years saying some shit like women are why we can't have nice things. I have a mom. I have female family members. I have female friends. Maybe
actually,
one day
yeah, that is good because, fucking brain fart. Guys, Shue, I'm sorry. I forgot what I was gonna say, and it was a positive thing about something about you not hating, or what was it you said? I can't even fucking remember what you said. Yeah, my brain derailed. I'm sorry.
Have a daughter. Women make the world a beautiful place, and like men, can be flawed and deserve criticism, like anyone else. But there's something genuinely so cucked about people who put down their own gender or race. Oh god, race. Self-hating white people. Don't get me started on self-hating white people. White people are so evil. I hate being white. White people can't dance. White people food is so gross. You're not getting into a...
Do those people really do exist? Because that is very fucking cringe. Like, I don't hate black people, but I'm also not very hateful towards white people. Yes, in our past, white people have been dicks, but... that's our past and our ancestors who are no longer with us, and now we have, different set of white people who don't hate black people. Matter of fact, the majority of white people and black people nowadays, we seem to be getting along for the most part.
Bro, you're not getting invited to the cookout. Enough. But yeah, women were not the only ones who had a problem with this. There were a lot of men who didn't quite relate to this being the average male fantasy. It's fine to love the disabled.
There's also, I noticed, a lot of men who seem to think that loving a woman is a bad thing for some reason. And I think that's what creates a lot of gays as well.
Didn't need to remind you that, but you glorify it? This anime is certainly Marxist propaganda.
What the fuck?
It's about him taking a job as her caretaker, and when he learns of her dreams, he makes it his mission to help her dreams come true. So it is Marxist propaganda.
What is Marxist propaganda? I know what propaganda is, but I don't know what Marxist is.
Propaganda to help a disabled person pursue their dreams? Yeah, it's woven in. Empathy is the target of propaganda.
Marxism is when girl in wheelchair. I love this. Empathy is the target of propaganda. Every piece of
I feel like that person has no idea what he's talking about, much like me. But at least I have the self-awareness to know that half the stuff that are coming out of my mouth, I don't even know what I'm talking about. So I can understand when people, like, go like, I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. And I'm like, yeah, you're probably right.
media that makes you feel empathy is communism. Political brain rot. If you're at the point where you see this and you're thinking of communism, you need to log off.
Communism?
You are unwell.
Is that what Marxist
I'm
is?
sorry,
Is
but when I
communism?
reproduce, I don't want a high probability of my offspring being mentally or physically retarded. We need a better class of incels whose bar is high.
Okay, I can understand this person to a small degree, but in a world where there isn't a lot of chances of having a happy relationship, sometimes you just have to take, your pros and cons.
Higher than the retarded.
She's not retarded. She has a spinal injury that's not genetic.
Yeah, but that's not the point of what he was making. But, yeah, you're right. If it's just a spinal injury, it's not going to be genetic. But that's not always the case when it comes to disabled people. For an example, my autism comes from a long family of people with autism. So if I do have children, there is a good chance that my child in question will might have autism.
Also, what is this LARP? I love how everyone is just kind of having like a normal conversation about this clip, and this guy just comes out of nowhere like, I would never put my pure white seed in such a vile creature. Like,
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to talk about. It's kind of like people don't want to have bad offspring. I get that. It is kind of an issue, but like I said, you just have to take your pros and cons because sometimes you get what you get and you just have to stick with it sometimes. I mean, yeah, sometimes it's too bad, like it's like really, really bad and you don't want to make something, even worse, so you try to avoid it. I don't know. You know what? I think this might be one of those things where I don't know what I'm talking about, so I'm just gonna let the video play.
you absolutely know this guy has a non-white girlfriend. They all do. All these like I hate white people women always have white boyfriends. All these I hate non-white people boys always have non-white girlfriends. I don't know what it is, but I've seen it too many times.
I don't know
I
what you're
guarantee
saying.
you, when this man logs off of his Black Sun Roman statue Twitter account, he's clapping Latina booty cheeks.
My fantasy is not being a simp, but okay.
I don't even know what that
Fellas,
is.
it simping to love a woman?
Nah, this is not the male fantasy. That man is a beta male. If she wasn't in a wheelchair, she would leave.
Maybe, but I don't even know what beta even is, actually. But I think I get the idea. It's kind of like it's like a man that's not worth being with because I'm probably versus like a big, strong, healthy man, perhaps. I don't know. Yeah, just men and women have the same problem with like attractive men and attractive women. Like I have the real issue too with, like I said, with fat women. I don't like fat women. I think it's gross. So if a fat girl likes me, I tend to say, you know what? No, thank you. I can't do it. I'm sorry. I just can't do it. And on the other hand, you also got all the women who are chasing down like the Arnold Schwarzeneggers and stuff, like with the big muscular men and stuff. And yet those women are hot as hell, and they will never go for like, the nerdy average man. So it's a problem. And I don't think it can be solved, which is the issue.
Him for Chad.
Fellas, is it beta to love a woman?
This is not my fantasy. This is some gay shit, to be honest.
Now that I know what that is, and no, this is not gay. This is as far from gay shit as it gets.
Honest.
Fellas, is it gay to love a woman?
What no pussy does to a motherfucker.
I don't know.
Brother, I've seen what pussy does to a motherfucker, and it's far worse.
The average male fantasy is taking care of their crippled wife. I don't think I've ever had that fantasy before. I thought it was gonna be about going on some quest to kill the dragon to win the princess or something.
Well, at least we finally got a normal tweet where my brain just like cancels out, because that last one was just my brain couldn't handle it. This one I can understand. What do I get the feeling that this tweet is actually from a kid who doesn't understand, the concept of love yet? That's why it probably sounds like this. But yeah.
It is. That is the average male fantasy. But there are no dragons to slay. There are no princesses to save. But there is that little old lady in the grocery store who can't quite reach that top shelf. There's that heavy box the pretty girl you work with can't quite lift herself.
Wait. Is this what earlier where Shue was talking about putting a pin in the idea of the wheelchair? Is the wheelchair supposed to be like the dragon, the thing for men to solve? Like I said before, I thought it was like the representation of just being disabled, whether it's autism or any kind of disabledness is what I thought it represented. You can actually put those things in the same category, like being autistic or being, disabled in any way can be considered the dragon that must be slain for, and I guess you could put those in the same category, like I said, but I'm not 100% sure if that's what's going on here.
Jar of tomato sauce your wife can't quite open. There's that Lego set your little son can't quite put together himself. Or there is this paraplegic girl who wants to see the ocean. This is...
So, yeah, maybe I'm thinking too little of this. Maybe my brain is being very small and not understanding the scope of this situation here, where she's basically saying that the whole being in the wheelchair is like the challenge, the mountain to climb to get to the top. But women are not prizes to be won, though. Unless it's more of you're helping this person not as a challenge, but to prove your love to that person. Well, that's a different can of worms, I think. I don't know, guys. I haven't seen the anime, so I feel like I don't know what I'm talking about.
The princess and the dragon story. And despite what many are told, men do have a lot of love to give. And they want some kind of excuse or mechanism to show that love.
That is very, very true. As a incel nerdy man who worked his ass off to make art for other people. Yeah, we want to prove our worth, not just for the sake of love, but for the sake of showing that we matter. We want to have a mechanism to show that we matter to people. It's not just about love. It's not just about friendship. It's about proving our existence is worth being there and not just being a fucking waste of space. Because when you start feeling like you're a waste of space, depression starts to consume you. And this is why the suicide rate is so high. Because when you don't have a purpose, you can't prove your worth of your reason for existence. You want to prove your reason of existing as, a normal human being, as something that's worth existing. it's kind of like the lines from Matrix where Mr. Smith saying that without purpose we do not exist, and that's basically it right there. It's the if we don't have a purpose, then there's no reason for us to exist. And when we feel like when we're not achieving any kind of purpose and we're just sitting there doing nothing, we start to feel like our existence is causing harm to others, even though physically it's not. We just feel like we're something that's not supposed to exist and not supposed to be there. And when it gets that bad, we so desperately want to end our lives for the sake of making, not consuming that space anymore. We want to end our lives in order to make a space for things that have a more positive reason to exist, because when you have a space that's literally something that's consuming nothingness, it makes you feel like you're causing damage to life itself, and that's why we want to end our own lives very oftenly, and that's why the suicide rate is so high. And when people try to make their lives worth something, we kind of can't, because society has put so many walls and limitations that we can't do much, especially artists like myself.
In a world where men expressing themselves is either seen as toxic or gay.
And that's another wall, a big hurdle right there that constantly, gets in our way, is other people calling us toxic and gay, and we're not.
And one way of expressing that love is solving problems. Men fucking love solving problems. I don't know what it is. They also love reading Wikipedia articles.
What?
The amount of times I walked over and my husband is reading a random fucking Wikipedia article about like the world's tallest buildings or like a random battle in World War II. I didn't know if this was autism or what, but apparently it's a man thing. Anyway, yes, men
Maybe it is, I don't know.
and love solving problems. And in a world that makes them feel useless, makes them feel like they have no purpose, men desperately feel like they need to prove their worth. They are desperately looking for a purpose in life. So it is not at all shocking to me that the modern young man is seeing a clip like this and longing for this. A lot of modern men don't have a chance to prove themselves, to make something of their lives. They don't have a chance to provide anything for anyone because they don't have anything to provide and they don't have anyone. They are doing everything their grandfathers did, but seeing none of the results. They're lost. What can they provide? And as I said earlier, her being in a wheelchair is the protector and provider instinct taken to a extreme. And yes, it is a fantasy,
Not really
considering
an
if you ask anyone who's
It's not really an extreme, but it's extreme-ish.
actually in a wheelchair, they know it's not all butterflies and rainbows, and they know that it's hard on relationships. It can be difficult on their partner. But just like in the movie, it's not shown as butterflies and rainbows. Josie feels like
Really? Well, it sounds like a very realistic anime then.
a burden. But towards the end of the movie, the guy takes on that burden. Not because he gets something in return, but because it's his duty. Because it makes her happy, which makes him happy in return. Loyalty, duty, virtue, acts of service, big or small. Men live for that shit. And yes, these are stereotypes. Not everyone fits into these boxes, blah 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 blah. But for the most part, it's true. When many men look at this relationship, that is what they see. And a lot of modern women are looking at this relationship and being disgusted because, in a way, it's the complete inverse of the strong, independent woman they've been sold. They've been told they need to be. The modern woman crafted by modern Disney for modern audiences. Unlike the Hollywood-crafted modern woman, this woman does need her man. She is not strong.
Yeah, we need each other. And people don't seem to understand this.
And she's not independent, at least physically. This doesn't mean she's like an empty vessel with no thoughts or freedom. No, in fact, in the movie, Josie does roll away from him a few times. It is a fantasy not because of a power imbalance, but because the man has a tangible purpose, and the woman is willingly and lovingly.
That's the sad part, and I kind of noticed this with all stories is that, whether it's mine or other people, is that in real life, some people just don't have a purpose, and when we don't have it, it makes our lives feel empty. And when we see a fictional character have a purpose, we either feel very sad or wind up, longing for it. I think a lot of people wind up longing for it and wishing that they had a purpose. So that's what I think is the great thing about art, is how much truth it can show in ourselves sometimes. And yeah, well, that's pretty much all I can really say on the matter, because my brain just derailed again.
Letting him fulfill that purpose.
Because I can depend on you. I know that if I ever feel frightened, I can just reach out to you.
You see, that this is adorable in every sense of the word. How can you hate something like this?
Men simply want something good to die for, to make it beautiful to live. This manifests in a lot of ways, but the most common is having a loving partner and or a family. Something unobtainable to many people nowadays. So yes, literally one of the most normal things ever is becoming a fantasy.
Yeah.
Sad. Also, men will deny this, but they absolutely have a biological clock.
We
It
do.
may not hit in your teens or your 20s, but one day you're going to have a dream. You have a little daughter making you pancakes with your wife in the morning, and you're not going to be able to get it out of your...
Yeah, guys, I have to tell you the story about that. It's when I hit like the age of 25 is when I started to realize, I would love to, like, I had this, when I was writing my books and stuff, I'm just thinking to myself, I really wish I had like a son where I could, when I put him to bed, I can, instead of reading him books, I tell my own stories to that little boy and to help them go to bed. And the idea was just so wholesome to the point where that's when I changed my ways. I used to think growing up that having a girlfriend would make my life miserable because, it would make it hard for me to focus on what it is I really wanted, which was to be an author. I wanted to be a person who write books. But then I realized, what? If I had a girlfriend or a wife, it wouldn't really make a big, like a big issue with my life. At least it really shouldn't. So when I realized that fact, I really did try my best to get onto dating apps and stuff and trying to get out there in the world. But of course I failed and realized that getting a girlfriend is impossible. It literally is not going to happen. And it doesn't help that I'm autistic. That it just, people who have disabilities almost never have significant others. I mean, like, I would say probably less than 1% of people who have disabilities have a significant other, and it is a terrible burden, to be honest.
your head. And that is the male biological clock. Everything you
Stupid
do,
ear.
the money you make
Always
working
itching.
that grading 9-to-5 job, it will all be for something bigger and more important than yourself one day. You will come home to a warm and happy home, greeted by people who care about you, and love you,
I wish.
and rely on you, and everything will make sense then. Until then, you'll just be on the internet, being called a misogynist, for wanting something bigger and more important than yourself.
Is that what
For wanting
misogynist
something
means?
beautiful and normal. And that is the average male fantasy. That, and 3 hot chicks at once. Hell yeah, brother! Haha,
I think... Actually, I like this one.
what I'm saying? So
I was
that
gonna
was
say the
that little
blonde one
video.
in the middle
Men in
looks
the
pretty good,
comments,
but then
let me
I
know.
looked
Am
at
I
her and I'm like,
correct?
yeah,
Is that the average
that
male
one looks
fantasy?
better.
Or is it not that deep? Men and women in the comments, what is your fantasy? And no, I don't mean that. I don't want to hear about how you want to be crushed by a 12-foot futa.
What the
That
fuck?
is between you and God,
What?
not you and ShoeOnHead. I mean, what is your ultimate dream? Do you want to travel the world? Do you want a nice big family one day? Do you want to own a farm? Do you want to live in a shed in the woods and make pipe bombs? Let me know in the comments, and I will see you soon with a...
Okay, to answer your question, so what's my dream? My dream? Being a famous author. My biggest, being a famous author and having somebody like somebody on YouTube go through my books and actually make an animated YouTube videos based on the stories I've written. That would be my ultimate male fantasy right there, and that right there would change. It would just make me so happy, but it's never going to happen. But one can dream, right? Well, that's the end of that video. This one's another hour one. God damn it. Well, it is what it is. So please like and subscribe. And this is Zujuku signing out.